everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be reviewing a really good Decepticon, and I'm sure a lot of you actually quite enjoy this certain character, and that will be Megatron. Now, Megatron in Earthspark, whoo, is probably one of my favorite variations of this awesome warlord here. So, uh, as some of you may have caught, in this show, Megatron is somehow Scottish. It's only because the voice actor is Scottish and shockingly works really well with the character. At first, it is a little bit off-putting when you first see the show, but as the episodes go on, you do tend to get used to it. It is actually a nice change, honestly. Like, we're so used to Megatron having this American accent, American Canadian-ish accent, and we don't really get to hear, like, different accents, especially from certain characters. So, I think it's actually a nice change of pace. For example, in Rid 2015, we did hear a few characters. Actually, a good example would be for Chop Shop. He was Australian, and no one really expected him to be, Aussie. It was just, again, kind of off-putting, but it worked really well for the character. Now, I like that people are putting in, like, different accents for different characters, and it's a really nice change of pace. For those of you that are used to, like, the older variations of these characters, you will understand that these guys usually had, like, American Canadian-ish accents, besides the traditional, like, British or sometimes Aussie accents. So, Aussie isn't really something that's used very often, especially in the Transformers media, but British, American, and Canadian very much is. So it's nice seeing that Hasbro is touching base with other parts of the world and not just, mainly America. So with Megatron, he is, I don't know, like, he's not really, like, this ruthless gladiator that we all, like, read about, in comics or, in any media, really. We all know him as this massive warlord, except for the comic book series More Than Meets the Eye and The Lost Light. Those are the only sources of media that actually doesn't have Megatron being a ruthless dictator. There is flashbacks in those, but it doesn't exactly depict him as that sort of person. Now, I like how they're taking the IDW franchise and putting it into, like, TV shows. A very good example of this actually would be from Warzone. And this is when, like, we're seeing a whole whack of flashbacks of Megatron, like, mainly after he betrayed his own Decepticons, hence his fight with Shockwave. But we got to see the blue flowers that we got to see in the More Than Meets the Eye comics, and that was awesome. Like, I really hope that was put into something eventually, and just not something this modern. So the guy that's delivering the lines for Megatron, he is doing a fantastic job. From what I know of, I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he was in Game of Thrones. He actually, I believe, plays one of the dictators in that show. And he has, like, this really thick Scottish accent in the show, and he kind of lessened it a bit for this one so then people can kind of understand him. Because, I myself, I am actually a bit Scottish, and from what my mom has actually told me, my grandfather was, he was all about the Scottish accent. His accent was fairly thick, so there was some things that she did have to learn to actually understand him, but overall, not a bad way to go about it. So, the way that they're depicting Megatron's past is actually something a bit new. It Yeah, like they don't really mention him being a gladiator on Cybertron like his other variations. But they're mentioning that yeah, he was a Decepticon dictator. And yeah, that's pretty much the given for any variation of this massive Titan. Um but they seem to be putting more into the relationship between him and Optimus. Um we didn't really get to see a lot of that in past media. Well, TV show wise, and of course, movie wise, as we have seen in the Bayverse. Now, you see that the relationship is kind of up and down. It's not something that you would normally see. In the War for Cybertron trilogy, for example, it was kind of rocky. It still kind of is, but at least we get to see them more together than we did then. Um, and it really works around the character. Now, Megatron, just as a whole, is still this rough, ruthless person, but in a sense, he does have his soft spots. For instance, in Decoy, he really did have a soft spot for the cassette bots, especially when they were using restraining bolts on them. He really did not like that. But I understand where he's coming from. He's from a lower class, unfortunately. He used to be a miner back on Cybertron, which I really wish that they would bring up eventually. I really hope they do. But he doesn't like that the higher class are treating lower class as well as scraplets, and unfortunately that's kind of what they're still doing in Earthspark, and it kind of saddens me a bit, but they're not doing it as harmfully as they would back on Cybertron if it were still the golden age back then. Now, Megatron has like he kind of has like this dad sense a little bit. It's him and Optimus. So we all know Optimus is like the daddy of, well, the whole Autobot gang. We all know this. But a lot of people kind of overlook the soft spots that Megatron has. Like, he treats some of his Decepticons as his own kids. Like, yeah, reality check, the cassette bots are more like Soundwave's kids, but Megatron still treats them like his own. And even with Soundwave there, like he still loves hanging around Soundwave regardless of what happened in Decoy. But like he still has a soft spots for he has certain soft spots for his team. And I feel like that they're going to be touching more on that once the new episodes come out next week. It it's just something different, you know, like something a different character to really look up to, you know, like for some of you that didn't grow up with a father figure like myself, a lot of us would go towards Optimus immediately. Only because, well, he fights for freedom. He knows right. He know the rights of everyone. Um, but then we kind of overlook Megatron, and even though, yeah, he hasn't really done any redemption stuff in any TF media besides comics, it's something still to look up to. Um, like, unfortunately, I really hate to say this, some of the Bavers actually tainted Optimus for me. I loved Optimus growing up. The first thing I watched ever, which was of Optimus in the 2007 movie. That was the first ever media I ever watched as a kid. And I loved Optimus. He was like my dad in that show. But unfortunately, over the years, they have kind of ruined the character for me. Yeah, in newer media, he's still fighting for what's right and all that, but I have read a little bit more up into Megatron's story and what he went through, especially in the novel series. And I honestly feel for the guy. I really feel for the guy, and I really hate that I do in a sense. Because, well, Optimus, aka Orion Pax, had this, like, didn't really have like an empire, but he lived in a higher class, while Megatron and the others just kind of lived underground, literally underground. And no one cared. People only cared because they were getting materials from them. That was the only caring that they got. Because if they stopped working, people up there in the higher class would notice. And that really needs to change. Like, in a sense, it's actually quite similar to what ancient Egypt was actually doing. They were treating their slaves like dog crap, and like, while the kings like slept in their palaces and all that, the servants had to sleep in the dirt, or didn't even get sleep at all. They hardly had any food rations. They barely got any water in the sense in the blistering heat, and yet they continued working day and night. And if one of them stopped, instantly the guards would notice. And that's pretty much very similar. And a little bit a little bit of some racial factor in that sense. That's just how I look at it, though. I don't know if everyone else does. But Megatron, yeah, he seems very lighthearted in Earthspark. Like, he seems a lot like the Megatron that a lot of people enjoy. But some people may not agree. Now, I understand a lot of you, like, enjoy this ruthless Megatron who will destroy anything and everything in his path, and basically try to kill Optimus with anything and everything. And yeah, we're trying to avoid that. The new Megatron that they have basically created is something nice. Like, he's trying to amend for his mistakes. Technically, yes, he did start the war, but for good reason. The higher class just continued it without saying, in a sense, sorry. So that's basically where that story, or what that story does. And Megatron, I feel, needs to be a little bit in the caring range than in the, oh, I hate everybody range. So, for those of you that do enjoy this new Megatron, please like this video, absolutely. This new Megatron is probably one of my favorites, along with Prime Wars Trilogy Megatron. That one and War for Cybertron are all my favorites. Only because, well, two of them are voiced by the same voice actor, and one of them is just lovable. But anyway, yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And I'm trying to keep these short, not over 20 minutes. But in a sense, I really look up to Megatron a lot more than Optimus. In reality, Megatron, I feel, is a little more of a father figure to me than Optimus ever was. And yeah, they just never really tainted Megatron as much as they have Optimus. Like, the person that, well, wants to save everybody, and just, yeah, like, they in a sense, they basically ruined him in Dark the Moon, AoE, and TLK. I cannot stand Optimus in those 3 movies. That's all I gotta say. But overall, yeah, that's pretty much my take on Megatron. Again, if you all enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, hit subscribe for more reviews. Again, I will post a schedule when I can in my community tab, so please keep those notifications turned on and keep checking regularly. And overall, hope you guys enjoy your night. Peace.